What's up, DigiDestins? This is Kyle D, better known as Ridemyavatar, and today we're going to be going over none other than DigiFest Texas. So this should be giving you a good insight of what you should be expecting for Miami this weekend, which I will be there. So if you guys want to say hi, come on up and just swing your arms back and forth. I don't care. Come and say hi. I'm very easygoing. So guys, without further ado, let's dive right into this video. So first off, we have none other than a first place blue hybrid. This deck is really amazing. I think what makes it really stand out is one Forbidden Trident and a Supreme Cannon in the main deck, and really solid all around. Azulanmon at 2 being able to strip those sources, and sometimes Azulanmon early in those early game matchups can easily just swing in, get you a bunch of security, and just call it a day. I think it's really lethal and very scary pretty quickly. I think, even personally, I think 2 Azulanmon is just devastating in itself, because if he can check out 3 security by himself and just walk it, you know that you're in a good situation, because that card alone can just win you games. We have, the 3 Sora Joes, the 4 Tommies. Matt Ishida 2-drop is so much better than Koji in most instances, because most players don't like playing around Sora Joe, but they don't mind playing to Matt's gain of memory. Some will try to play around it, but most of the time you will just see Matt Ishida come down. I like the 4 Starabi, 4 Sayoko, 4 Madoki, and 2 Bokomon. Really solid. Got a very interesting, 14 rookies, which is really good. Hirumon is at 4, which I definitely agree, because sometimes your Digimon will just sit there and not swing until the very end. So being able to, when you strip sources, really does matter in the long game. I think this is a very solid list. The Beowulf combo is just nasty. I like the Kendo Guru, because at least when you use him, he'll swing in, bounce a source, bounce any of the Sayokos or Madokes early enough, and it just help you out in the long game. I think this is very solid. His side deck, very interesting take. I like the single Hexablow, 1 Bayo, Lobo, just in case you need the extra aggression for your hybrids, if your hybrids are just getting blown up left and right. Susano, just for those long grindy matchups. 1 Aqua Viper. I like the idea of being able to bounce your opponent's Digimon at least the level 4s, if I remember correctly, or is it just level 3s? Aqua Viper is a little tough for me. Yeah, you get to bounce 2 level 4s, which could definitely get you the game win you need. Maimi is a very interesting tech, because if they strip your Digimon, if they use a Hammer Spark or they're using Howlings and stuff like that, Maimi can at least rest herself and make it cost more and gain you extra memory. So that Howling memory boost that they paid when you're at 3 now costs them for 4 when they just played it from hand. The delay effect does not trigger Maimi, so remember that. That is not a key thing about her. You just have to keep that in mind, that she is there. And also, Hammer Sparks costs 1 now, so it mitigates the whole effect of Hammer Spark. So you're just burning 0 for her. So it's a wasted space. And then Rattlestar is really nice tech, I think. Being able to return one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon to their hand, and if they have more Digimon in play, return one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of their deck in all their Digievolution cards of that Digimon. I think Rattlestar is probably a solid side deck choice. I might tech that in my own, just because I think that might be a really good pickup choice. We have, and then Hexablow just being that card that can just shut down a whole board if you're worried about that kind of stuff. Second place, another blue hybrid, running 1 Absolute Blast, 1 Mat, 4, 4, 4, and 4 Bokos. I don't see 4 Bokos as that necessity like everybody else, but I think 2 Boko is fine, because once Boko's on the board and they're just locking it every single turn, you're just giving them free memory, and you have no way of digivolving up. So I feel like maybe Boko is not the best at 4, maybe at 2 is fine, but to each their own, I think. We have 1 Azulanmon, again, great card. The whole stun package Beowulf combo, just really cool. Absolute blast. Like I said, Howlings, Ice Wall, and Hammer Sparks. Yeah, normal way to go. 2 Kendos, 1 Bayo, 2 Hexas, another Zulon, Metal Garurumon for anything that name begins with a Cherubimon, being able to bounce, basically rewind any of their on deletion Digimon back. I mean, you have to gain most of your value, you have to have the, ability to gain memory. So if they have Gazi out or anything like that, you're not going to gain that Metal Garurumon memory back. So it'll cost you a little expensive, but if they're Cherubing and then you go into this, they gave you the 4 anyway. So, and then we have Susano again in the sideboard. Not a bad tech choice. Maimi, especially being at 1. You can definitely see where Maimi actually played a very vital part. And then 1 Supreme Cannon. I think this is pretty solid. I think double Hexablow is a little too costly, but that's just me. Next, we have 3rd place. This is a full-on Magna Garurumon list. I really like this list. It's a very unique take on Blue. It proves that you don't have to play Blue Hybrid Blue's Hybrid Stun to actually do well. I really think Lewis the Panda did fantastic. He's a great player, and he did fantastic. Go definitely check out his channel. We have 2 Hammer Spark, 2 memory boosters, Ice Wall, Sora Joe, Koji, just so you can warp into the Magna super easily. The full Sarabi package with 1 double Colasmon, and then you have Kumamon at 4, Kendo, and then 2 Korikakus. You might be wondering, why 2 Korikakus? Well, I mean, you're going to think about this in this way, that it's not about stunning your opponent. You're not hyper-focusing on stun. You're hyper-focusing on the OTK potential with Magna Guru. You're going to be restanding, swing, 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 and it just gets nasty really quick, and then you just blitz Omni for game. That's kind of just where this whole design is going, and I like the idea he was going on. He also made it so that he wasn't relying on Sora Joe, so your opponent isn't going to be playing around the extra gain memory. You are wanting to play at 3, so, I mean, this is pretty solid. And then the Beowulf, so that if you're facing against green, they can't swing into it, and that's just huge. And then let's take over Kendo Guru, Beowulf extra, just in case a green matchup. And then Kendo, just for if they're spamming those stuff. Forbidden Trident. Rattlestar is definitely seeming like a good tech choice. Sword Joe, Mechanori, just for those instances that you need to slow down rushing boards. Metal Garurumon, same thing as I mentioned before. This card is really just there to bounce anything with on deletion, get it off the board, and their on deletion doesn't trigger. So, I mean, that really does help out. Now let's talk about Lilith Loop. Lilith Loop actually took 4th place in this event. I like where it's going for. 1 Ginkamon promote is what helps out with the Eismon plays, especially if you play 1 off or scatter mode. It's a really powerful deck, but it also can brick heavily. But I like the 1 Mastamon so that if you could go Masty for game basically. You could go Mastamon and then get a promote out, swing in for game. And then boom, you're solid. Jack Raid at 4. You got Call from Darkness. The Dead or Alive for the Cerberus Werewolf play. Because what you're going to do is build up a Cerberus mode. Then Dead or Alive basically comes in. You Werewolf. And then boom, you trigger the draw abilities. Get your Eismons out. Then you have a Werewolf on board with a gain of memory +1. So you gained a free memory off of the Werewolf. So, I think this is really good. I think very solid. 3 Lilithmon is kind of the standard for Lilith Loops now. For Analog Youth, I kind of expected that. 60% win rate is at 1. I think that's very interesting to see it at 1. Usually I see people at 2, but that's not bad. 3 Death Claws, which, to be honest with you, I kind of understand because Eismon Scatter Mode has jamming on it. I swear to you, it's just hidden in the text that this card is just straight up not going to hit for anything. It's not going to die when you need it. So you got to use Deathclaw or Call from Darkness to pop it. Now, we have Avenged Kidmon here, which is really good. That's what we needed. This is in case you face against, the Beelzestars matchup, so you can actually cycle their stuff back. Neo Devi is just to help shut down tamers and anything else that you just don't like. Just Neo Devi just being this whole thing about I'm going to make you pay more for your tamer plays is huge, and it could win you the game. Rebellion's in here for the OTK strat decks, just because if they're going to swing in, you're going to shut them down. Then you have Chaos Mode here, just for more tamer hates. And then you have Dead or Alive, just for more access. Emergency Program Shutdown is just to shut down more for option-heavy decks. So if you're facing blue, you use this to make sure they can't use their Hammer Sparks for game. So that's just where you're at. Now we do have... Now let's go. We talked about third, fourth. Now let's head over to our fifth place. Fifth place was X Antibody. I'm impressed by this list. Don't get me wrong. I think this deck getting all the way up there is huge. I love the Finals of Work Punch because if Darugomon is the top end, he's instantly triggering Finals of Work Punch's effect and getting up there. I like the 3 Metal Greymon. And I'll explain why. Because if this Digimon has Reboot, which... Very interestingly, I don't know why that's a Metal Greymon, to be honest with you. I think this should have been Volcromon, because he has no way of gaining Reboot here, except through Finals or Punch. So, I mean, if you're going to rely on that as your way in, that's not bad, because Metal Greymon will reboot himself. So he swings reboots. I get it. But I don't know. Volcromon might be a little bit... Volcandramon is probably a little bit better in the tech slot, but I can't say otherwise. I think the 3 metal is pretty solid. Dark Tyranno at 3 is really good. Darugomon is at 4. Grumble, Surzori, Duru, Chumon at 3. Yeah, that's kind of standard. Durogreymon. The only thing I have a problem with is Kato, because there's not enough X antibodies in this list to verify or justify the inclusion in this, because the problem is if you whiff with this, it sucks because you don't have enough champions to justify playing this card. You don't have enough ultimates in to justify it, but if he's been God sending it, but I love the 4 memory boosters, so he's just straight up heavy searching, and then he's hoping to hit all his combo pieces. I think that's a great strategy, and it's just very solid, and he did really well to get 5th place with this list. Then we have 4 Neo Devi, because Neo Devi's nasty. 2 Zawart Defeats, because Zawart Defeat is nasty. You know, I mentioned a little bit of Neo Devi, but we also have Parablanc Junk. This card, I kind of see what's going on. You have Darugomon who can pop anything. So if you needed to extend your turn, what you would do is play this, put it on any of the memory deniers or anything like that, which could get you that game win you need. I kind of see where it's coming from. I think it's a very spicy card. I don't know if he would tech this out personally. I would probably tech it out, but that's just me. But I think all in all, he did quite well for himself, don't you? Now, let's talk about the purple-yellow hybrid. Sadly, this was probably what everybody was thinking was going to go for the wins here. And I think just because blue hybrid just stuns so much, it just makes it really hard. The 2 Kyrie is what's throwing me off a little bit. If you wanted to guarantee more of your wins with blue, I think at least minimum 3 Kyrie is needed for purple. Just because if you can just, every time they swing and you take a security off, you rest 3 of these, they're losing out on full combo turns. They are struggling. Kazi, Zarafa, Rise Greymon, Jet Sylphie, Shine Greymon at 3 is really impressive. Dynasmon at 1, Kasuchi. I'm surprised I didn't see any of the, what is it, Serafimon? Serafimon? Like, even just the 1 promo would have been very interesting in this list. Surprised to see it. 2 Blinding Ray, Reinforced Memory Boost, Swart Lazingers, of course. Boko's at 3. You know, just very powerful all around. Gazis. And that's just about all she wrote. And then there we go. The Seraphimon are in the sideboard. Another Dynasmon, double Mechanori, Fly Bullet at 3. Really interesting tech choice there. But I get it for removal of bigger threats if they're climbing up. I kind of see where it's coming from. Cutemon at 2, just to slow down any of the hybrid decks, or even green itself. So I see where they're coming from. Now we're back into blue. We had a couple deck profiles without blue. So we have Upa, Cura. It's very interesting to see the take that he went four Upas, 1 Kyoru. So I personally think Kyoru is a little bit better than the 4 Upas, but that's just me. Shirabi, Sayoko at 2, Madoki Beta. Shirabi that gains you extra memory at 4. I like that. I like that because if you can combo it with Kendo, at least if Kendo costs you at least 1 memory, I mean the 3 memory on top of the Shirabi, at least if you bounce something like a Madoki Beta or anything like that, you'll gain the memory back that now he pretty much costs 2 for himself, so it's not bad. I think it's a pretty okay trade-off, and I think being able to have him with that combo is a very solid tech choice. Kumamon at 4, Korikaku at 4, Beowulf at 4, Azulamon at 2, 2 Suzanomon. Impressive you're playing 2, but okay. Davis at 3, Sora Joe at 3, Tommy at 4, Matt Ishida at 2, Absolute Blast 1, Hollowing at 2, Ice Wall, 3 Hammer Sparks. Okay, no Bokomon in sight, so just keep that in mind that sometimes you don't need Boko. Then another Sayoka to bring into 3, this Shirabi to help search. We have Hexablow at 2, we have Magna at 2, we have Kite at 2, Koji, not Kite, Koji, so that you can combo with the Magna. Absolute Blast, 1 Forbidden Trident, just all great cards I see. Next, let's go into the final top 8, another blue deck. This one is very interesting to me. No Madoki Betas, but 4 Shirabi, 8 Shirabi types, 2 Sayokas, 4 Boko, Bayo, Korikaku, Kuma, Kendo, Lobo. Let me see what he did. He wanted this heavy search, but gained some memory value out of it. Okay. Davis, Sora Joe, Tommy, 3 Matt Ishida. I kind of see where everybody's going for that 2-drop. Because at least people won't walk into a Sora Joe very often. They'll play around Sora Joe, but they won't play around the Matt Ishida, as mentioned before. 2 Hollowing Memory Boost, Ice Wall, Hammer Spark. Just how that goes. There we go. There's the 2 Madoki Betas, 2 Hexablow, 2 Magnas, Absolute Blast, Sora Joe, and then the Koji himself. So guys, what did you think of Texas? What decks are you maybe thinking about going to bring to Miami this weekend? And remember, check me out, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace!